I want to talk about why content feels hard for you. And the people that I'm talking to, just to clarify, there's a lot of new followers coming in, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you for being here. And I hope that I get to meet you one day. But just to clarify who I'm speaking to when I talk about creating content, I'm speaking to highly ambitious women who are building their empires online, building their businesses, and they're spreading their wisdom, they're coaching, they're teaching, and they're getting paid to do it. That is who I'm speaking to. I am a content coach. I'm also a business mentor, so I do kind of both. However, I've been solely focused in 2025. I made it my mission at the beginning of the year to focus on coaching women when it came to building their personal brand and creating content for specifically Instagram. But I do believe that we can repurpose all of these things to TikTok or YouTube Shorts or LinkedIn or anywhere else. What's up, Brandon? Oh my gosh, so good to hear from you. Where else was I going to say? Threads is another one. And so I've spent all of 2025 now, 8 months in, almost 9 months, helping women strengthen their personal brand and all the while build their business and grow their business. And I've been posting my own content here and building my own businesses since 2020. So it's been a long time that I have practiced and studied content, and I always come back to content because I love social media. I always have. I find it very intriguing. I find it very fun. I also feel like it's a no-brainer. Like if we're not building a brand on social media in 2025 going into 2026, like if there's not one person in your household that is not building their brand on social media, y'all are missing out. Like this is low-hanging fruit. So I want to talk about all of these women that have come to me over the last several years, but specifically in 2025, where I've kind of like narrowed down who I'm working with. They come to me and there's a consistent theme in what they've already been taught about creating content. And this is where they're going wrong. So I'm going to list off these things that they've been taught about creating content. They've been taught to be or post in a way that is relatable, in a way that will allow them to relate to other people. So they go to create content and they think to themselves, this makes me relatable. And that is their content approach. Sometimes that is coupled with number 2, which is to educate or to provide value. And I've been told this too, like go provide as much value as you can. Like your content, your entire feed should be super valuable. Give away all the tips and tricks, make sure that people learn something from you. And I believe this in a nuanced way. Like I actually coach my clients to be very valuable and to be useful. But there's a nuance to this. And a lot of clients come to me and their entire feed is education. And when I say education, like it literally looks like here's 3 ways to do this, or here's my 3 secrets to do blah, blah, blah. And we've all created content like that. I'm not hating, but that you're going wrong if that is what you're posting right now. The next thing that they've been taught where they go wrong is they've been told all you got to do is be consistent. All you have to do is post every single day, multiple times a day. Even some of these people are coming to me and like they've been told to post multiple times per day. But if you just show up every single day, you'll be consistent. And I'm like, geez, I don't agree with that either. Like I actually go against that. Not that I go against consistency. I believe consistency is a superpower. But if consistency is the only thing that you're strengthening, that's also where you're going wrong. I have a lot of clients that come to me and they're very good at posting every single day, but the strength of their post, the potency of their content is not strong at all. So it's almost like take a step back and refine what you're already doing. If you're consistent, that means that you have the skill set to dive into where you're missing the mark and really focus on like who you're showing up as in that content. And then we can ramp up to being consistent in that potency and just your business will take off. So all of those three things, they come to me and they've been taught that they need to be relatable. They've been taught that they need to provide value. They've been taught that they need to be consistent. And when they're doing all 3 of those things, or maybe they pick one of them and they get really good at it, they question why their business is not exploding at that point. and they wonder why they haven't seen the growth that they want to see, not just in followers. Like, trust me, I actually work with a lot of clients who have less than 10,000 followers and they make crazy amount of revenue in their business. I don't believe that followers, views, and likes equate to how much we get paid. So that, let me just put that out there right now. However, I do think building a community and having an audience is like the easiest way to then grow your business. So if we're good at growing an audience, if everything is coming back to content, like it truly does, which is another thing why I'm obsessed with studying it. I'm obsessed with learning it, because the better you get at content, the more successful you're going to be, truly. So the thing is we are in 2025, and people, meaning you guys who are on social media and you're scrolling, or, you know, like we all sit on the couch at some point, maybe it's like at nighttime or whatever, maybe you're in bed late night and you're scrolling. You and I, at this point in the game of social media, we are highly selective with who we follow and who we choose to listen to, and who we choose to like come back to or think about, honestly. And people aren't just believing anybody anymore. People aren't just buying from anybody anymore. So if that's the case, we need to strengthen a few things. And there's two patterns that highly ambitious women in my world, like coaches who are, again, coming from a place of like, they have insane amount of wisdom. They have like these tools and these skill sets that they can teach other people and transform a collective. Those type of women, they come into my world and they've done two things very consistently. So I look at their feed. Anytime someone new joins me, I'm immediately going to look at their Instagram. Like I immediately go in and check out, like, what have you been posting? Like, what have you been putting out there in the universe? And I study it. And I see two very consistent themes. The first one being, like I mentioned, they've spent a ton of time. And again, I'm working with women who have a business most of the time. I actually don't, I don't talk about money a lot, because I have a lot of women in my world who are quote unquote beginners, but they're beast mode. Like they're more consistent and they're more willing to be coached and change and evolve than the women that I work with who are making $500,000. So it's like, I don't associate who I work with by a number in their bank account. I associate who I work with by an identity of like, I work with the women who are going to stop at nothing on their way to getting what they want and building this empire and making impact in the world. But at this point, they've come into my world and they are consistent in two things. The first one is, like I mentioned, they have been posting very educational content, very valuable content, the type of content that people save and they think they're going to come back to. Like, you know, I used to be like this. I don't do this anymore, but I used to have like folders in my Instagram and my TikTok that I would save. Actually, I still do have a folder in my TikTok for recipes, but I would like save these tips and tricks that I saw people posting, and I would never come back to them. And I also would never buy from these people, because I'm like, well, that's a good tip and trick, but I'm not activated by them. They don't pull on my heartstrings. Like, I just feel like that's some good education that I'll save and come back to. So they're either very consistent in educational or valuable content, or they've come to me and I go and look at their feed and I'm like, damn, they are really spending all of their energy trying to speak directly to their ideal client. And they're doing it in a way where they are calling her or him out. And we've all seen posts like this where it's like, I don't understand why people do this like so often, but they are calling people out in their content thinking that that's the thing that's going to activate someone. And they'll say things like, you are doing this wrong, or here's the mistakes that you're making, or you just need to do blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that is really no different than the educational content, in my opinion. It's still not evoking any emotion. I do think there is a specific time and place during a business strategy, which this is a conversation for another day, where speaking directly at your audience or speaking directly at your ideal client is very smart. And it happens during a specific phase of launching a program, but it's like 10% of your overall content strategy, in my opinion. This is the missing link, okay? When I work with women whether it's one-on-one or they come into my mastermind, or even if they're in my group programs, again, everything that I do always circles back to content. I'm always teaching content. I'm always teaching like personal branding. And that is like the tangibility that I coach. There's always a missing link. And the missing link is these women don't know how to crack the code on simply being themselves. And if they were to be themselves, if they were to just be who they are at their core, they would be 12 out of 10 captivating, insanely captivating. And that's the goal. The goal is to be so intriguing, not because you're performing or because you're trying to be intriguing or because you're putting on, but to be so intriguing, so captivating that if you were gone from social media, people would miss you. And I don't mean they would miss your content that you post. They would miss you and your aura, your presence. They would miss who you are when you show up. They wouldn't miss your tips and tricks. They wouldn't miss your education. They wouldn't miss being called out by you and told what they're doing wrong all the time. They wouldn't miss like your empowering, inspirational quotes. They would miss you for you. And that's what we need to get to in your content. That's the one thing that you're missing. And guess what? There's no messaging hack for that. There's no hack. You can only create this strong presence and like impact of being irresistible, irreplaceable by being the most you that you've ever been. And you can't do that work through content alone. There's a lot of work that takes place in the background, behind the scenes, a lot of inner work that you have to be willing to stretch yourself towards so that you can be the most you that you've ever been. And that's a scary thing to a lot of people. So a lot of people will lean into like, well, I need to know exactly what my offer is. I need to know exactly who my ideal client is. And I need to speak directly to who I want to work with. Well, hold on, sister, because you haven't done the work to figure out exactly who you are. And so how can you speak to other people and know exactly who they are if you have no idea who the F you are? That's crazy to me. And all these other content coaches and social media coaches are out there teaching messaging for you to get more specific and speak directly to people when you haven't even learned how to speak to yourself. So the moment that you do this, the moment that you crack the code on being the most you that you could ever be, guess what? There's going to be a new level for you to deal with. And that's going to mean that you're not for everyone. You're not going to turn everybody on. You're going to actually turn some people away. But the people who are there for you, the people who actually need you and your work, they're going to find you. But right now they can't find you because they don't know who you are. They have no idea who the F you are by looking at your content alone. So if you want to build this insanely successful, and it's crazy, like this world is nuts. It does take work. Like I'm not going to sit here and say like this is a get rich quick scheme because it is. That's the last thing it is. I just came back from vacation and I spent not a lot of my time, but I spent every day. I spent some time on my business, not because I felt like I had to, but because I wanted to. But that is the level of grit that this takes. But it's so fun. It's so fun. It's so fulfilling. And I've witnessed women like start from nothing and build businesses into $1 million businesses just because of what we're doing here with our personal brand. But you don't just get to slap up some content and say, here, I know a lot of information on this topic, or here, I know exactly how to trigger you, or here, I know exactly who I want to call in, and you think that's going to build your empire. It's not. What is your mission for yourself? What are you hiding from? What are you, really good at? That's another thing. Like if you don't know what you're really good at, what stories about you, what experiences about you does the world need to hear so that you can change lives? What things do you downplay about you that you know are unique and different? It's like all of this has to come together. And if you want to build this insanely successful, massive business where you do it through showing up on social media, then you need to create connected content. That is what I call it. I call it connected content. I tried to come up with like a cooler name. There's no other name for it. But in order to create connected content, you first have to connect to yourself. And if you're going to connect to yourself, then that's going to require you to tell stories that nobody else could tell but you. And in order to tell stories that nobody else could tell but you, you're going to be required to know who the F you are. And that's it. And I've had to do this work myself. That's the only way that I'm sitting here talking to you right now is like I was skipping steps. I was obsessing over my ideal client at one point in time. I was obsessing over having like a beautiful feed. I was obsessing over like just being consistent for the sake of being consistent. I was obsessing over creating offers that I thought would sell until I took 1,000 steps backwards. And I said, I need to just figure out who I am and what I want to do and who I want to impact and how I want to do that and where I'm going to come from in this authentic, true place. And all of that required me to get to know myself on a very deep level. And I'm still doing that work. That work never ends. But if you want to create content that is truly impossible to ignore and impossible to replicate, the connected content that not only connects to your audience, but is insanely connected to you, you have to get to know yourself. And this is everything that I'm getting ready to teach. I have this crazy experience coming up. I'm not going to drop it yet because I'm like nervous about dropping it even, but that's just a small plug for you to just get ready. We're going to do some massive inner work together that is going to blow up your brand. But the intention is not going to be to come into this space wanting to blow up your brand, wanting to make money. The intention is going to be to come into this space to strengthen your relationship with yourself, to get to know you and your heart. And that's where I'm going to leave that. Happy Friday Eve. I hope to see all of you tomorrow at the Insta Stories Sales Secrets training. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will post about it in my stories, but I'm going to coach you on how to show up in your Instagram stories and just create an experience. So this is not going to be like, here's the messaging that you need to say. I'm going to actually coach you through like in 24 hours, since that's when Instagram stories expire. What should you be putting in those 24 hours? And how do you come at your your stories and talk about your offer from all different angles so that you don't run out of ideas, so that you're still calling in people. I don't care if you have 50 views or 50,000 views. If you're not selling from your Instagram stories, you're missing out. That's the easiest place to convert. So I'll see you tomorrow at the training. You can comment the word, it's one word, and it's slay sell, SLAYSELL. That comes from the method that I'm teaching in this training is the slay and sell method. You're going to love it. It's going to be so fun. And I will see you at the training tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that, have a good night. Mwah.